As humans, we're genetically predisposed to detect faces, which is why so often we imagine we can see faces in clouds or wallpaper or curtains. As we collaborate with AI software, we can use live cameras and images to enable computers to see the world around them. Face detection, the ability to determine whether or not a human face is present in an image, is an important capability for AI, especially if this can be combined with face recognition to match the same person in multiple images or to identify specific individuals. The Face API is a cognitive service that's designed to work with faces in images. Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to provision the Face API in Azure. So I've gone ahead and done that. I've got a Face service here. And if I open that up, I can take a look at the keys that are required from my client applications to work with that. So having set that up, I'm now ready to go and use it. And we'll go and write some code. And the first thing I need to do, obviously, is specify the URI, and that's location specific, depending on where I provisioned my service. So in this case, it's in the West US, and the key that's required to connect to my service. So we'll just get those variables initialized. Now, the Face API, I could just make the HTTP requests as I've been doing with some of the other services, but actually there is a cognitive face SDK that's available as a Python package. So that acts as a wrapper around that and just makes it a little easier to work with. So I'm going to go and use that. And I'm also going to install the Pillow API, which again is used to work with images, or the Pillow package rather. So we'll run those. And I'd actually already installed them, so it's gone ahead and got those libraries in place. So now what I want to do is I want to take an image and see if I can detect a face in that image. And what I'm going to do is I've got a bunch of imports here just so I can display the image, and I've imported that cognitive face API here as CF. So I'm going to use that, and there's a bunch of functions that I can use on that CF library to make life easy for myself. So I'm going to set the base URL to my URI for my specific service, and I'll set the key to my key, and that means that I'm ready to go and make calls to my own instance of that service. Now I'm going to go and grab an image of a face. I've got this URL here with a file, and I'm going to grab that and then call the face.detect method, passing it in that URL to see if we get back any information about faces. Now, if there are one or more faces detected in that image, we'll get back a collection of these face IDs. So we'll look at the results, we'll look at the first one, and we'll get the face ID out of that. So we want the first face that it detects. Now, it could, of course, detect multiple faces in an image, and I could actually process all of the faces in there, but I'm only really concerned about the first one in this instance. So we'll go and get the ID, and it'll assign an ID to that face. So we'll just go and take a look at what that ID looks like. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and grab the image itself and open it up and display it. And then for each of the faces that's found, and in my case I'm really only concerned about the first one, but for each one that's found, I'm going to go and find the location in the face in the image where that face exists, and I'm going to basically draw a rectangle around. I'm going to draw a blue rectangle around the face where it gets found, because what I get back is the upper left coordinate of the face and the width and height, so I can work with that to draw a rectangle around it. And then we'll just display that face. So we run that code, and here's the image that comes back, and sure enough, I've got a blue rectangle. It's detected. There is in fact a face here. This looks like a person in this image. All right, well, what if I've got that image of me and I want to compare that with another image? Maybe I am implementing some sort of automatic face detection system. Maybe I'm using this for security for getting into a building, and I want the AI solution in my building to recognize me and compare me to another image that it has of me and see if I'm the same person. Well, to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another image, and we'll just open that, and then we're going to do a face detect on that image as well. So we'll take that image and do exactly what we did before. We'll go and say, hey, here's an image. Tell me, is there a face? And if there is, tell me where it is. And more importantly, give it an ID. So what we get back is the ID for the second face, face number 2. We've already got the ID for the first face. It's actually here. That's the ID that was assigned. So we'll get the ID for the second face. And then I've got this function, verify face, where I'll pass in the two face IDs, And we will use this verify method from my face API to see if the ID for the first one is the same as the second one, so, or at least to see if the person with the ID for the first one is the same as the person with the ID for the second one. So the IDs themselves won't be the same, but it can check to see if it's the same person. And if it is, we will draw a face with a rectangle around it, and basically we'll use a red rectangle if it's not the same person, and a green rectangle if it is the same person. And there's a confidence level that's associated with this that tells me how confident it is in that match. So we can go ahead and run that code. And it comes back, there's a nice bright green rectangle around this one that says, yeah, this looks like it's the same person. And actually, I'm 91.5% confident that it's the same person. So if I go and look at the previous image, here it is here. Here's the second image. And it looks like, yep, that looks like the same person to me. All right, well, let's try with a slightly different one. Let's see if we can get this to work with something that's a little more complicated. Now, I know you'll find this hard to believe, but I wasn't always as dashingly handsome as I am now. And if I look at this image here, this is a slightly older one where I had a bit of a grey goatee going on and I'm wearing sunglasses and I look a little bit different. And it still thinks that's the same person. It's still giving me a green rectangle, but the confidence has gone down a bit. It's a little less sure, but it's still, you know, definitely saying this looks like the same person. Well, let's try with another face. Let's see if I could, you know, spoof the security systems here and impersonate someone else. And this time it comes back, well, no, definitely not the same person. We've got a big red square around here. This is not the same person at all. So it's able to differentiate between the different faces that get identified and tell me whether they match or not. And that's a really useful thing for AI. If you think about the fact that when we deal with people, we quite often recognize them and we know who we are and we can tell if we've met that person before and so on. Well, really, this is just a way of extending that to AI and having the ability to, first of all, identify faces, and secondly, to match them to other images or other recollections of those faces.